What do you think about the Kalen DeBoer hire, and what do you think about the staff that he's put around him?
So the DeBoer hire, I think, is good. I think when you look at the situation that everyone is speculating about, because social media, but nobody knows how many people were offered that job. If you want to speculate and say that Lanning was offered the job first, which is, to be very clear, who I would have gone after first. If you go after Lanning first and you don't get him, but you get the guy that's beat him 3 times in 3 games in 2 years, it's a pretty good hire. So I like that part of it. I like the X's and O's part of it. And here's the other thing, too. I'll just be like a sunshine pumper and be as positive as possible here. If it's only a stepping stone job, even for DeBoer, or if it's just a what's the word I'm looking for here? It's too early. Like a bridge hire for Alabama to the next guy, because I don't think that most of the time the guy after the guy isn't the one that usually works, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's just a bridge hire, you're going to get a guy who is great with X's and O's. I don't know if he's like a Dan Mullen type recruiter. That's what everyone seems to want to throw his way. But if he's a great X's and O's guy, I love what he did at Washington. Like, you look at the record and break it down any way you want to. Like, if you want to take away the NAIA stuff, that's fine. Why don't we look at the 25-3 record he's had in the last 2 years at the Power 5 level and the Natty this year? So love that. The staff hire, don't love that. That has been a tough scene since Saturday, since he took the press conference. I think a lot of people wanted him to hold on to Travaris Robinson. You need as much help as recruiting as possible. So we'll see where he goes from here. But I do like the defensive coordinator hire for sure.
Yeah, look, Kane's a guy that knows his stuff. I do want to pivot a little bit to, kind of the other side of the state with Hugh Freeze and taking over the play calling, Chris. Something I've really never understood is how you build yourself up to a certain place, and then all of a sudden, once you get to the highest level as the head coach of that place, you're like, all right, somebody else can do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm Bobby Flay and I'm the head chef at my restaurant and I've been cooking the same meal that got me famous, I'm not just going to go to like the King of England and be like, oh, somebody else will cook it for you. No, I'm going to cook it. I'm going to go down on my own sword, on my own shield. I think guys get too cute. They think, oh, now I got to take a step back and do the CEO role instead of doing what they're best at. Sark is not giving up play calling ever. You can go ahead and forget that. Kiffin, unless it's Levy where he can work with him and really trust him, he's going to be the main guy. So when you look at Hugh Freeze going into year 2, do you think it was the right decision for him to get rid of Phil Montgomery and take over the play calling, and just kind of, you've seen some moves on that staff as well?
Well, first off, I love the fact that you brought up the British monarchy, because I feel like Auburn boosters run that program in a lot of the same ways. So I think that when you talk about what he's done in year 1, it seems like he went into year 1 with less of an attitude of, I better succeed right away, which in the past at Auburn has been very, very important, and with good reasons. Like, since Pat Dye has been there, Auburn has had a coach play for or win a title, whether it's a division, conference, or national title, in the first 3 years, every single time, besides Brian Harsin. So I think that, and also now Hugh Freeze. But with Hugh Freeze, that was his whole calling card, right? He's an offensive genius. I remember when they made the hire, it was like, what? Like, this man turned Bo Wallace into a back-to-back 3,000-yard passer, and you expected something like that from Hugh Freeze going into this season. The thing that I think I was most disappointed in wasn't even the passing game, because it was so bad. I mean, they went in, I think, at some point into the month of October where they had 5 straight games dating back to last year against Power 5 competition without 100 yards passing. And then
triple option team.
Right.
If we're gonna be honest.
Right. And it was very, very odd to watch. And like, I understand the talent's not there yet, but you still have talent at Auburn. So it was very odd to see how bad that was.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, the weirdest part for me so far about Hugh Freeze has been the part where he said he didn't plan for the bowl game or any of the prep because he was recruiting. And it was like, man, you are just saying all the things out loud that I feel like I would not be saying. I think it'll get better. Not in a rude way to Auburn fans. I'm actually wearing an Auburn hat right now. I didn't want to show it because I thought we were doing the saving stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that it can't get worse than what the offensive coordinator was this year. Yeah. And I really, the last thing I'll say is I think that he is hitching his wagon to the fact that they're going to bring in high school talent and try to build this thing in the long run. And he is going to hitch his wagon to that, right? All these 5-star receivers they're bringing in, Walker White, all these this talented incoming class. he's going to try to give himself 2 to 3 years, and then now he's, I think, going to start like trying to mold it into what he wants.
Agreed.
I'm glad you brought up the possibility of Kalen DeBoer being a stopgap hire at Alabama. It feels to me if that's the case, it's not going to be because he doesn't have success at Alabama. It's going to be either because he wants to try his hand in the NFL or that the Alabama expectations post Nick Saban are just so crushing that like a 2-loss season ends up running him out after a couple years. But I want to talk about the quarterback position, Chris. I mean, Jalen Milroe, 65.8% completion percentage last year, 2,800 yards. He had a 23-6 touchdown to interception ratio. We talked all season long about how he got better and better as the season went on. We know how he struggled a little bit against Michigan in the Rose Bowl, but that ended up being the best defense in the country. It's kind of oil and water, his style, with what Kalen DeBoer has run when he's had the most success. Obviously, Will Rogers from Mississippi State committed to Washington to be the heir apparent to Michael Penix Jr. out there. What do you think should happen at the quarterback position at Alabama under Kalen DeBoer?
Well, first off, David, your hair looks great, and congrats on the national championship, because I haven't been able to tell you that yet. So
thank you.
No, so here's the thing. I will defend Jalen Milroe to the death. And I have decided this is the stance and the hill I'm going to die on. And I don't care how it sounds. I got graphic after graphic after graphic we've been posting over there at SDS and on my own Twitter feed.
God, I love when you get graphic.
What's that?
I love when you get graphic.
I appreciate that. Speaking of low T, so I think the entire thing with Jalen Milroe, I am going to defend this kid. It'll be the hill I die on this offseason and going into next year, because he got so much slander after that Michigan game. And I kept looking at this. Like, I remember looking at another graphic that we had made about Michigan. Michigan was top 5 in the country in like 20 plus defensive categories, including number 1 in almost all of the most important ones. Like, everyone struggled against that defense. Everyone did. I think that Jalen Milroe going into this, I don't think it's the oil and water situation that and the sky is falling situation that I've heard a lot of people say it is. Will Rogers has come from an air raid attack and a passing attack. A lot of that is, like, in my opinion, you brought up earlier the triple option. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts and a lot of intermediate routes. Jalen Milroe can throw the ball downfield. Like, Jalen Milroe had a passer rating that was 15 points higher than Michael Penix Jr. this year. I think he is going to have to learn how to not be a first read quarterback in this system, which has been a lot of like the critique he's got. But I think that Jalen Milroe is a lot better of a quarterback than people want to give him credit for, and I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah. Chris, I do want to bring up this point. I've talked my biggest thing, and the reason why I tweeted out the oil and water thing with Jalen Milroe is if Ryan Grubb doesn't manipulate the offense to Jalen Milroe's strengths.
Right.
Yeah.
Not that Jalen Milroe shouldn't ever throw the ball. Jalen Milroe can be a really good thrower of the ball, but I'm not going to go get a tank and then just drive it to Kroger. Like, if I'm going to get like an off-road vehicle, I'm going to do like one of these car commercials and take it on top of a volcano or go out in the woods. Right. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to just, if it has that capability with 4-wheel drive and all that stuff, right? If I get the Batmobile, I'm not just taking it to the library, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I want to jump off the parking deck onto the bottom and go take out the Joker. Like, why would you not use that to your strength? Because I think Jalen Milroe can be an incredibly talented college quarterback. We've already seen that. And his ability to create outside of the pocket. So I think a lot of it is if Ryan Grubb, which he's a smart cat, so is Kalen, I'm sure they'll be malleable to what Jalen does. But I'm very interested to see kind of how it works out because the tools are there. That's why Isaiah Bond getting in the transfer portal, like, man, I just think you wanted to transfer. Like, I don't think that had anything to do with the hire.
Huh?
Yeah. Like, if I'm a receiver, like, I'm like, yes, when Kalen DeBoer is hired, but not – gets going to play for Sark. That didn't suck either.
One more quick way to think about the oil and water with Jalen Milroe is with Michael Penix Jr., not just at Indiana, but at Washington too. He was asked to drop back and throw the ball 35 to 40 times in this offense and to make 25 NFL throws per game. Right. Jalen Milroe wasn't asked to do that. His skill set was completely different at Alabama, even though some of the throws he made were NFL throws. Maybe it'd be 3 to 5 to 8 per game, and it really popped when you saw it. I think it behooves Jalen Milroe that Michael Penix Jr. also looked a little bit inept at times against that same Michigan defense 1 week later.
Yeah, and I'll say this too. Just let me throw this idea out there. If Kalen DeBoer is going into a situation where he has to succeed early, because whether the pressure from Bama fans and the media or that whole job situation in general, or it is a stepping stone for him to go to the NFL. I don't know if he's putting himself in a situation where he's going to beat his head against the wall a lot like Bill O'Brien did when he the one game that Bill O'Brien had with Jalen Milroe as the quarterback. He didn't use any of his skill set outside of throwing the football. And Jalen Milroe is a very good thrower of the football. But like like that whole beat your head against the wall, I'm going to do it my way. I don't think Kalen DeBoer is going to do that. I think they are going to use his skill set because the bottom line is Kalen DeBoer is a winner as well. He wants to win games. And if that's going to help you win games, that's what you do.
Man, I just can't stop thinking about taking a tank to Kroger.
Yeah, or the
wouldn't that be dope?
You said like, I'll do something cool like taking a tank to Volcano. Oh, you know what's cooler than that? Pulling up in a tank at Kroger.
You ever play GTA?
Like 100%. Chris, I want to know this: if you're Kalen, new head coach. I mean, you're walking on thin ice here. You're trying to do everything right. You signed Will Rogers to come to Washington. Will Rogers back in the transfer portal. Is it the right thing to do if Will Rogers wants to come to Alabama to let him come? Are you worried about scaring Jalen Milroe off?
I'm not worried about scaling Jalen Milroe off at all. I'm worried about the people behind him, like in the quality depth. I don't. It's a really good question, and I don't know. But I hate to say it, but it's like not my circus, not my monkeys type thing. Like this is not. Washington has nothing to do with Alabama. I don't know what he should do. That's a really, really good question. But I don't like that whole quarterback room is already kind of packed, right? Like they haven't had a lot of people like leave in that situation. I think Lonergan's going to stay. I think he's still there. Is this somebody?
Holstein's the one that left, right?
Holstein left.
Yeah,
and Buckner went and played lacrosse at Notre Dame. But
we're all upset about in Tuscaloosa to lose a guy like Tyler Buckner, just a glue guy that really meant the world to that team last year and didn't damage it at all. No, I think it's a really good question, Blaine. It's the first time you've done that to me on this show, so
you're welcome.
That.
Look, I played the long game.
That's right. Play
the long game, Chris. All right, let's go to David S. He wants to know, #Ask Chris, what kind of role do you see Saban having with this program? DeBoer said that Saban is going to have 100% of access to everything all the time, including his house anytime past midnight.
I don't love that, to be honest. I don't love the idea that he's going to have 100% access to it. For a second, I was wondering if they were going to be able to coax him into coming back and being the defensive coordinator, because that was like,
that'd
like,
be my luck.
Right.
Hey, we got Bill Belichick and Nick Saban as co-DCs.
There's at least one Bama fan out there that was like very convinced that was what they were going to do, too.
Yeah, it's Willie. Song.
Roll Tide Willie.
Yeah, we played a clip on the show the other day. That's
it's a good question, though. I think that he's going to have some help. I think that the thing that you need to help him if you're Saban, because I always said he wasn't going to leave unless he put the program in a situation where they were going to be able to succeed. The timing of this is not great. Like the timing of this is, especially with the portal window being open for like another 30 days or whatever it is, or however long it is, where you're not allowed to go get anybody, but people are allowed to come poach all of your players with a turnover. That part is not great. The recruiting part of it, being like DeBoer being like a Midwest guy and leaving like from Seattle, I think he needs to be helpful and like figuring out a way to implement like, hey, this is how you recruit here. This is where you need to go. Here's some helpful people that you should interview and like maybe bring in. But that's where he needs to help the most, especially on the defense. And I would hope that Saban would be, Miss Terry's birthday was yesterday, so they had the cake and all that kind of stuff, and they called it a day. I think it's, I hate to say it since he's retired, but like back to work for like another couple of weeks. Like the program needs a little bit of help here.
Yeah, I'm so interested to see like how that transition of being the head guy, being Nick Saban, having total control, to not being the head guy but still having control if you want it. That's such an interesting working relationship, because I think there's two ways it goes. I think it goes either really good or really bad. Like right. I don't know if there's a lot of in between when you kind of have that taken over the guard. Especially when it's the greatest college football coach of all time. But Blaine, let's get one more in the Booster Club, and we'll let Chris. Chris, is it snowing by you?
No, we're like the only place in the world that's not getting snow right now.
Dude, it looks like it looks like the North Pole up here. It looks like I'm watching Elf. I'm just waiting to see Mr. Norwal and that snowman with the mustache.
Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad. Hope you find your dad.
Yeah, hope you find your dad.
I was gonna text and said #Ask Chris. Chris, to Saban
Blaine's
being out
to
create
the
a power
old guys today. I love it.
Does Saban being out create a power vacuum, or can DeBoer close that gap and not let Ole Miss / Texas / Oklahoma fill it?
I don't think it creates a power vacuum. Here's the other thing too. Like, Bama didn't go after Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin's a good coach.
I know.
Lane Kiffin did not get offered the job from Alabama. Like, Kalen DeBoer got offered the job from Alabama. I think going into this season, you look at the schedule, and you could say that I mean, you could make a case for 8-4 finally for the first time, actually, not like the way my buddy Mike Bratton has been doing for the last 6 years, but like actually maybe going 8-4. I don't think it creates a power vacuum though, because again, this guy has he went into Washington, they went 11-2 their first season. Second year, they go 14-1. I think the quick turnaround and what he's been able to do on his resume is super helpful. You get Auburn at home. That schedule is manageable. So I don't think it creates a power vacuum of having guys like I love Lane Kiffin to death, but have we seen him have back-to-back years where he stacks success like that at any stop?
Yeah,
not really. So I think more than anything, the teams at the top, like I don't know if Mizzou and Ole Miss have as much staying power. I hope Mizzou does, and it's been a lot of fun to watch both those teams. I don't know if those teams have as much staying power. The thing you have to watch out for if you're Kalen DeBoer is not the guys that you're already worried about right now with like Texas and Georgia and Ole Miss or whatever, but teams like Auburn and teams that are on the rise. That's the stuff you need to keep an eye out for. Going on a trip to Norman, making sure you still walk away there with a dub, like that. That's the kind of stuff I think that he needs to be careful for.
You got to go up to Madison too.
Yeah,
that one up there with Luke. I mean, we'll see with Ole Miss this second year if Lane can stack it. I'll tell you, Texas Ed, where the power vacuum's been created, it's in the Big 12. That's the one I can't wait to see who kind of fills that power vacuum there with Texas and Oklahoma leaving. But it's always a power vacuum when Chris Marler leaves because he brings so much energy even this early in the morning. Chris, man, we appreciate you hopping on with us, buddy. It's going to be very interesting. Well, look, we got college basketball too, right? The SEC, man, it's the best I've ever seen it. College basketball, there's more parity than I've ever seen, and that includes last year when we had 3 directional schools and the Colorado School of Mines make the Final Four. Yeah. But tell everybody where they can find you guys' fantastic work and catch the pod.
Yeah, so Saturday, Football Uncensored, the podcast. We have a live show every Sunday night. A lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun the last couple of weeks. People have come in. Anytime Bama loses, it's the highest rated show we have of the year every single time. So it's been a lot of fun.
Without a doubt. It's like Superman getting beat up.
Right. Saturday Football Uncensored. That's the podcast. Like I said, it's new episodes every Wednesday and then Sunday, and then Vern Funquist on Twitter. And then if you want to find me out in the streets, I'll be driving a tank up to Piggly Wiggly later today.
Nice.
Wiggly. God, when are you singing the victors, Chris? When are you going to come on here in your Michigan gear?
I forgot that we still need to do that. Listen, next time you have me on here, you need to remind me the day before. I will go on Amazon right now and spend the remaining $30 I have on a gift card.
Hey, we'll just get Voltar to troll you every day on
that guy. It has been between Georgia and Tennessee, as it always is. My mentions have been a lot of fun the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, Chris, we appreciate you, buddy. It's always fun.
Hey, YouTube, what's up? Thanks for stopping by. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Check us out. Roll through our videos. We drop content all the time. Turn that notification bell on as well so you can be updated when we do release it.